Hey, welcome back to the Lick of the Week videos. This is our second video on Home Sweet Home in that revisiting the classic series. The last video we looked at the A part and I gave you some ideas to spice that up. Let's take a look at the B part, and again I'm going to base this on Earl's classic version, which is based on Mac Woolbright's, and this is not a note for note representation of his solo, but primarily the positions and roles I'm using are based on his playing, just not note for note. But again, the assumption is you can already play this B part. So here we go, part B. There's the B part, and as I like to do in all these old classic tunes in the videos, I like to break down the chords that you're playing this melody over so that you can associate sections of the melody with the chord changes. So other than the kickoff notes here at the 5th fret, the melody actually functions here for the first measures over F, G, F, C, we have this recycled section, which is basically the same phrases that we used in the A part. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. We know that's recycled. So let's just concentrate on this part. Those chords are F, G, F, C, and then the G7 back to C section at the end, which we'll get to in a minute. Now, what I like to do in this, again, as I mentioned in the first video, on a really beautiful old classic song like this, I'm kind of hesitant to really just go bananas with my improvisations. If it was a jam session and the song had been passed around the jam, 5 or 6 times, and everybody's getting tired of playing the standard melody, that would be okay. But when you first learn to improvise over a classic tune like this, I think it's a good idea to base your improvisations first on adding and complementing the melody as much as you can, and then kind of go out in left field a little bit. How much you want to go out in left field is up to you. So I'm going to stick with the melody on the first string, which is primarily the melody string we discovered from the previous video. So there's what we're playing for the B part. I want to keep those notes intact, but have a little fun, with the melody and do some playful things and things that I think add to the overall quality of the melody. What I'm going to do, instead of totally playing just chords like I did in the previous video for improvisation, I'm going to play around with my roll patterns. And so instead of a standard backwards roll over these, a lot of players do, and then switching to forward here, I want to play around with roll patterns using some of the same positions, but I am going to substitute chord partials into the flow of this. So the roll I'm going to choose is actually what I call the Foggy Mountain Breakdown pattern, which is 2, 1, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1. And then the 5th string becomes like a transition note to get me to a new position. So again, it's that partial F that we play from the backwards. And instead of playing backwards, I'm going to play 2, 1, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5. And then for the partial G that we played, and then we roll backwards, I'm going to do 2, 1, 2, 1, 5. And then before that roll is completed, 2, 1, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, I'm going to slip down to this partial F. So I'm reusing all the same partials that we used before, but substituting the Foggy Mountain Breakdown pattern. But the trick is, rhythmically, is to not play the whole 2 1 2 1 5 2 1 5 pattern here and then move, but to kind of split the pattern in half. So 2 1 2 1 will be played over the partial G, and then 5 2 1 5, the other part of that pattern, will be finished out over here. Now over this partial, I'm going to do the same pattern, which is the standard Scruggs model. So I'm actually stealing this roll pattern from Earl's version and moving it up to different positions. So this is kind of like rearranging Earl's ideas, if you want to call it that. So let's try it. Now we can take this even farther. I can rearrange the melody notes in such a way that I'm stacking different notes from the scale and different chord partials against it. What am I doing there? Well, I'm using the partials, but I'm rearranging the partials using the same 2 1 2 1 5 2 1 5, and then splitting a position with 2 1 2 1, moving to a different position and playing 5 2 1 5. So let me slow that down. This is the partial F, playing the full pattern 2 1 2 1 5 2 1 5. Now I'm splitting up the G and the F between half and half of the pattern. 2 1 2 1 5 2 1 5. Now here's the whole pattern here. 2 1 2 1 5 2 1 5. But instead of resolving it here and there, you notice I'm staying up the neck. So I'm regurgitating, which not too nice a word to say, but I'm recycling the positions in a way that allows me to improvise over the changes. And instead of going here to C, I'm going to substitute the partial G that I had just played before and the partial F that I just played before. And again, it's that splitting of the roll pattern, 2 1 2 1 5 2 1 5. And then using this, and that's going to substitute for it. So this will be my partial G7 position, I guess you want to call it that. So let me add that all up. Substitution. Now I have some time left over where I would go G back to C. I'm going to substitute over that with the partial F, and then the partial C, and again that's splitting the roll pattern up 2 1 2 1 5 2 1 5, and then back to here. Now if I put this together slowly, hopefully you can hear how rhythmically it's fitting over the changes. Play that again because it's a repeat. The B part repeats. Same thing again. Substitution. And then I'm going to tag it with this, the 4th fret of the 2nd string, 2 1 5. It's just a short transition. Now something else that I like to do is actually play around with the tag section. So when you get to the end of the A part, the end of the B part, you have this kind of alternating thumb roll that kind of tags the end of the B part, kind of fills things out, gives you time to recover and get ready to repeat. What can we do besides alternating thumb? Well, there's a lot of different things you can do. What I like to do is recombine some of these chord partials in a new way. So when I get to the tag or the very end of the first time through the B part, playing an F, G, and then I'm substituting B flat. And again, I'm concentrating on partials. I'm showing you the whole chord, but I'm really just playing what we call thirds. These are notes from the scale a third apart. This is the third string and the first string out of that F-shaped B flat chord. So if I put that together, here it comes. C, F, G, B flat, and you can play any kind of rolls you want over that. I'm playing notes based on 1, 3, and 5. I'm actually playing a backwards 1, 3, 5, and then 3, 1, 5, and that leads me back around to F. F here, G, C, G, F, G7, F. Put all this together slowly, then a little more up to speed. So remember, your positions are the same ones you've used before, but in a different order. We're substituting partials in places you may not be used to playing partials in, and watch the timing of the right hand pattern. It's pretty much the same pattern, 2, 1, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, and sometimes that pattern is split in half to accommodate different changes in these positions. And then we're switching to C, playing thirds or two harmonized notes out of the scale, or F, G, and then B flat is our substitute chord that leads us back to F in the B part. So I'll put all this together slowly. And there's the standard position, new roll. Optional filler at your disposal there. Repeat. And what I did to even go further above that was every time we played I've substituted those new chord voicings, which are actually just harmonized notes out of the scale as they relate to partial chord shapes. First and third out of F, first and third out of G, first and third out of B flat. So let me add that new tag variation. Experiment with it, and I think it's a good idea, especially on something like that, to make it a little more expressive, a little more tender, I guess, in places, is to try to get away from the X move over here to the Y position a little bit. It makes some of these new voicings, like makes those new chord substitution ideas stand out more tonally, instead of staying close to the bridge and getting that metallic sound. Try to move around a lot. So that will wrap up Home Sweet Home. I hope you've enjoyed some of these ideas and helps you branch out and come up with some cool things on your own. I'll see you on the next video. Appreciate it.